Level 1. The lookout. The burner phone buzzes at 2:17 a.m. 3 short vibrations, the code for "they're coming." You're standing in a drainage culvert on the Arizona side of the border. Temperature is 40 degrees. You're wearing a faded hoodie, jeans, and boots 2 sizes too big. No weapon, no badge, just a flashlight with red electrical tape over the lens and a cheap 2-way radio. The radio crackles. 10 minutes out, stay low. You've been doing this for 3 weeks. You were recruited at a Greyhound station in Tucson by a man who bought you a sandwich and asked if you wanted to make $500 a night. You said yes because your rent was due and your job at the tire shop paid $11 an hour. You didn't ask what the job was. That was your first mistake. A van appears on the dirt road, headlights off. It stops 200 yards from your position. You count the shadows moving. 11 people. They're thin. They've been walking for 3 days. Some of them are children. You shine the red light twice, the signal for clear. The guide, a man named Chino, face you've never seen clearly, leads them toward the culvert. He hands you a Ziploc bag of cash, $500. You don't count it. You never count it. You see green lights. You run, Chino says. You don't wait for us. You don't warn us. You just run. You nod. You've already memorized the escape route. Through the wash, over the fence, into the waiting sedan. You've practiced it twice. You've never had to use it. Not yet. You watch the group disappear into the darkness. One of the children, a girl, maybe 7, looks back at you. She doesn't smile. She doesn't cry. She just looks. You look away. The rationalization is simple. You're not hurting anyone. You're just pointing a light. You're not responsible for why they're here. You're not responsible for what happens after. That's what you tell yourself. You don't think about the woman last week who collapsed in the culvert. You don't think about the man 2 weeks before that who was coughing blood. You don't think about where they're going or who's waiting for them. You think about the $500. At dawn, you drive back to Tucson. You buy coffee and a breakfast burrito. You sit in your apartment and watch the news. There's a segment about illegal immigration and cartel smuggling networks. They show footage of Border Patrol vehicles. You change the channel. You lie in bed and stare at the ceiling. You tell yourself you'll do this for 1 more month, just enough to pay off your car. Then you're done. You've been saying that for 3 weeks. You close your eyes. You dream about a child's face. You wake up and you can't remember it. That's the first thing the system takes from you. Memory. Level 2, the coyote. 6 months later, you're not pointing lights anymore. You're walking. You've been promoted to guide, though no one used that word. You learned by following Chino through the Sonoran Desert for 3 trips. He talked to you in low Spanish when the group slept. He showed you the water caches, the safe houses, the spot where the radar fails. You don't lead, he said. You follow the landmarks. The saguaro with the split trunk, the arroyo that bends east, the power line tower with the missing crossbeam. On your first solo trip, you have 12 people behind you. They paid $8,000 each. You're getting $2,000 per head. The math is simple. $24,000 for 5 nights of walking, more than you made in 6 months at the tire shop. You carry a backpack with water, canned beans, a first aid kit, and a handgun. The gun is for Border Patrol, you tell yourself. But you know the truth, it's for anyone who can't keep up. The second night, a man in his 60s collapses. His name is Miguel. He has diabetes. He didn't tell the coordinators because they wouldn't have let him come. You check his blood sugar with a kit you bought at Walmart. It's dangerously low. You have orange juice in your pack, 1 carton, you give it to him. He walks another 2 hours, then he collapses again. The group is behind schedule. The pickup driver on the other side will leave at dawn. You have 11 other people who will lose their money if you wait. You look at Miguel, he looks at you. You remember what Chino told you. The desert decides, not you. You leave him a bottle of water and a granola bar. You point him toward a dirt road and tell him to wait. You know no one is coming for him. You know he will not survive. You walk away. That night, you don't sleep. You tell yourself it was necessary. You tell yourself you saved 11 others. You tell yourself the desert decided. But you know, you made the decision, not the desert. When you cross into the pickup truck at dawn, you count the money, $22,000. You don't look back. The second thing the system takes from you, guilt. Level 3, the stash house coordinator. You're off the trail now. You run a house in Nogales, 3 bedrooms, barred windows, a garage that fits 15 people at a time. The neighbors have been paid $200 a month to see nothing. Your title is logistics. You coordinate arrivals, departures, food, water, and medical care. You also collect payments. The money is $8,000 per week, plus a $500 bonus for every shipment that clears without incident. The house holds people for 2 or 3 days at a time. Some have been walking for a week, some have been in the desert for longer. They arrive dehydrated, sunburned, frightened. You give them crackers, water, a mattress on the floor. You tell them they'll leave soon. You don't tell them that soon depends on whether their families pay the balance. A man from Honduras arrives with his daughter, 12 years old. He paid $6,000 up front. He owes $2,000 more. The network won't move them until the full amount is wired. He calls his brother in Atlanta. The brother says he needs 3 more days to get the money. You lock them in the back bedroom. 3 days become 5. The girl develops a fever. You give her Tylenol. You don't call a doctor. You can't call a doctor. On the 6th day, the money arrives. You put them in a van with 8 others. You watch them drive away. You don't ask what happens next. The psychological shift is invisible. You stop seeing individuals. You see units, $8,000 each, minus expenses. You stop hearing their stories. You stop asking their names. Names are a liability. You tell yourself you're helping. If you weren't here, they'd be with worse people. That's what you say. But you've started carrying a gun inside the house, not for Border Patrol, for the migrants. Because sometimes they try to run, sometimes they try to call the police, sometimes they try to fight. You've never had to use it. You tell yourself you never will. The third thing the system takes from you: names. Level 4, the route planner. You're promoted to logistics coordinator for the entire Sonora corridor. You work from an apartment in Hermosillo, no windows, 3 monitors, a whiteboard covered in symbols only you understand. Your salary is $15,000 a month, plus 5% of every successful shipment. Your job is to design the routes. You study satellite imagery, Border Patrol, shift schedules, weather patterns, drone flight paths. You identify gaps, a 15-minute window between radar sweeps, a 2-mile stretch with no sensors, a drainage tunnel that hasn't been sealed. Each route takes 3 weeks to plan. Each route moves an average of 200 people. Each route generates $1.6 million in revenue. You don't think about the people. You think about the terrain. One afternoon, you receive a request from the network's financial officer: increase throughput by 30%, reduce time in transit by 2 days. You redesign the routes, you cut out water stops, you shorten rest periods, you add more people per guide. You calculate the risk. The mortality rate will increase from 2% to 3.5%. That's an additional 15 to 20 people per month. You submit the plan. It's approved. You don't tell the guides. You don't tell the migrants. You just issue the new maps. That night, you eat dinner alone, pasta, red wine. You watch a movie on your laptop, a comedy. You laugh at a joke. You don't remember what it was. You realize you haven't thought about Miguel in 8 months. The fourth thing the system takes from you: memory. Level 5, the border fixer. You're no longer in Mexico. You're in Phoenix, in a law office with a fake name on the door. Your business card says immigration consultant. You have no license. You have no degree. You have a phone that connects to 3 judges, 2 Border Patrol supervisors, and 1 ICE detention center administrator. Your job: solve problems that can't be solved legally. A shipment is intercepted, 15 people are in custody, the network loses $120,000, but more importantly, one of the guides talked. He gave names. You make 3 calls. The first call is to a lawyer who owes you a favor. He files a motion that ties the case in procedural knots for 6 months. The second call is to a bondsman who posts bail for the guide, but the guide never shows up for court. The third call is to a man who visits the guide in his apartment. The guide is never seen again. The cost, $40,000. The result, the investigation dies. Your fee, $20,000. You do this twice a week. The moral escalation is complete. You no longer distinguish between legal and illegal. You distinguish between solvable and unsolvable. You receive a request from a network partner in Central America. A rival smuggler has been intercepting their shipments and stealing their clients. The partner wants you to facilitate a conversation. You know what that means. You call a contact in the Sinaloa cartel. You arrange a meeting in a restaurant in Culiacan. You don't attend. You just connect the numbers. 3 days later, the rival's body is found in a drainage ditch. The local newspaper calls it a cartel execution. No one investigates. You receive a thank you wire, $50,000, you deposit it, you move to the next problem. The fifth thing the system takes from you, the line between facilitator and executioner. Level 6. The financial architect. You're invited to a meeting in Panama City. The room is on the 31st floor. The table seats 6. The men across from you control smuggling networks across 4 continents. They don't use names, they use colors: red, blue, green, gold. You're offered a position, financial architect. Your job is to launder $200 million per year through shell companies, cryptocurrency, and real estate. Your compensation? $2 million annually, plus 2% of every dollar moved. You accept. The work is elegant. You create a foundation in Delaware that owns a company in the Caymans, that lends money to a partnership in Luxembourg, that buys apartment buildings in Miami. The rent checks are deposited into accounts controlled by the network. The tenants have no idea. You never see a migrant. You never see a desert. You never see a body. You see spreadsheets. One afternoon, you calculate the total revenue generated by the network over the past 5 years, $1.2 billion. You calculate the total number of people moved, approximately 180,000. You calculate the total number of deaths, approximately 4,500. You close the spreadsheet. You open a new one. You start planning next quarter's targets. The sixth thing the system takes from you, the ability to connect numbers to faces. Level 7. The network partner. You're not an employee anymore. You're an owner. You hold 8% of the network through a trust in the Cook Islands. Your name appears on no document. Your signature appears on no contract. Your face appears on no database. Your role, strategic expansion. You identify new corridors, the Mediterranean, the Andaman Sea, the Darien Gap. Each is a business opportunity. Each requires new infrastructure, new partners, new bribes. You write a proposal to open a route from Nicaragua to Texas via the Gulf. The proposal includes cost projections, risk assessments, and a mortality tolerance of 5%. The partners approve. You don't think about the 5%. You think about the 95%. That's how you sleep. You're in a hotel suite in Dubai when you get the news. A shipment from the new route capsized. 47 people drowned. The media calls it a tragedy. The network calls it a logistical failure. You authorize a payment of $500,000 to the families, not because you care, because bad publicity costs more. That night, you look in the mirror. You're 53 years old. You have $40 million in liquid assets. You have no wife, no children, no friends. You have associates. You try to remember the name of the first person you left in the desert. You can't. You try to remember your mother's face. It's there, but it's gray, like a photograph left in the sun. You sit on the edge of the bed. You don't cry. Crying is for people who still have something to lose. You open your laptop. You have a proposal due by morning. You start typing. The seventh thing the system takes from you, the distinction between a life and a statistic. Level 8. The ghost. There is no title for what you are now. The network's org chart doesn't include you. You don't attend meetings. You don't make calls. You receive reports encrypted and sent to an email address that changes every 72 hours. You own 18%. You haven't touched the money in 2 years. It grows on its own. Your power is absolute. You can start a route in a new country with a single message. You can end a rival with a single email. You can make a border agent disappear with a single phone call. But here's the cost. You are completely alone. You live in a penthouse in Singapore. You have a view of the bay. You have a chef who comes 3 times a week. You have a driver who doesn't speak your language. You have no one you trust. This is a vulnerability. You eliminated all vulnerabilities. You haven't spoken to your family in 15 years. You don't know if your mother's alive. You haven't looked. Looking is attachment. You cannot retire. Retirement would mean handing over power. There is no one to hand it to. You train no successor. Successors become rivals. You cannot leave. The system doesn't have an exit. It has a graveyard. One evening, you watch a documentary about human smuggling. They interview a survivor, a young woman who crossed the desert 7 years ago. She describes the man who left her uncle behind. She describes you. She doesn't know your name. She doesn't know your face. But she describes your jacket, your boots, the way you didn't look back. You turn off the television. You walk to the window. Below, the city is alive. People are eating, laughing, holding hands. They have no idea you exist. You used to be one of them. Before the drainage culvert. Before the burner phone. Before the child who looked back at you. You wonder what happened to her. You don't look her up. You sit in the dark. You don't drink. Drinking is for people who still feel something. You feel nothing. That is the myth. That is the summit. Not money, not power, not control, just a quiet room, a window, and the complete absence of anything that could hurt you. Because the only thing left that could hurt you is yourself. And you killed that person so long ago, you can't even remember his name. The eighth thing the system takes from you, yourself. The cycle continues. Somewhere, at a Greyhound station in Tucson, a man in his 20s is eating a sandwich. He's been offered a job, $500 a night, no questions asked. He needs the money, his rent is due, his car is broken, his ex-wife is calling about child support. He tells himself he'll do it for 1 month, just enough to get ahead. He tells himself he's different, smarter, stronger. He won't lose himself the way the others did. He will. But not tonight. Tonight, he's just a man with a sandwich and a promise. He doesn't know about the drainage culvert. He doesn't know about the child who will look back at him. He doesn't know about the desert, the spreadsheet, the penthouse, the dark room. He doesn't know that the system doesn't end. It just changes shape. He doesn't know that the boot never sees the boot coming. But he will. He always does.